Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the medicine section of your CPT manual. We'll go through a couple case studies, and then we will talk about assigning the ICD-10 and CPT codes. So the first thing that you want to do when you get started is make sure that you read chapter 26 in your step-by-step textbook. This is going to be important because if you are not reading the chapter, it's going to be hard to apply the concepts that you're trying to learn in the chapter. So you're going to read chapter 26 in your step-by-step book. You're going to have your CPT manual, and you're going to review the coding guidelines, which are already in chapter 26, but you want to have the CPT manual as well so that you can see the information not only in your textbook, but you'll see it in your CPT manual. You'll also need your ICD-10 manual as well. So I'm going to go through one of our case studies, and this one is you have a 30-year-old established patient. They receive a tetanus shot, and it is administered intramuscularly by the physician assistant. So a lot of questions that I get is, I don't know where to start coding. So one, we want to know what type of service did the patient actually get? So we know that this patient came in and they got a tetanus shot. So we know one of our codes that we're going to be looking for is going to be the tetanus shot. We also know that it was administered intramuscularly. So we know that we have at least those two codes, and then also the diagnosis for this patient. So before you can complete any coding for any patient for any reason, you must have a CPT, at least one CPT and at least one ICD-10 code. You have to have one of each, at least, at minimum, before you can actually submit that claim to the insurance company, and before that coding will be complete. So in this case, we're going to look up that code for the tetanus shot. And once you look in your ICD-10 book, you should have come up with 90714 and also the administration code 90471. So the first thing you might be saying is, well, how do I know I'm supposed to add the administration code? Well, one way that you can tell is they gave you the information of how the shot was administered, and it was intramuscularly. So that's one of the ways that you can tell that, okay, I'm probably going to need another code. Another way that you can tell is when you read the chapter, it actually tells you that in the chapter. So I actually took a screenshot, and you may not be able to actually read all of this, but I'm just showing you that inside of the chapter is actually telling you how to code things that fall under immunizations and vaccines. So you're going to find this information in your chapter. So this is why it's really important that you review that chapter. And as you can see from the screenshot that I have here of the chapter, it's letting you know, and it's actually giving you the code right here. So they actually gave you the code in the chapter, but you still need to learn how to look it up in your CPT. But they've actually given you the code in your chapter. Also, they let you know that if you're reading the chapter, that if you're going to code any of these immunizations, that you can build the administration code with it. So this is where reading that chapter is going to be very important. So as you can see from this screenshot, it's letting us also know that the first administration code is 90471 for the first administration code. And then if the patient has any additional administration of any immunizations, we'll use the 90472. So that's how you're going to know that administration code goes along with it. So one, by reading your chapter, 2, by reading your chapter guidelines inside of your CPT manual, which is going to tell you how to code from that section of your CPT book. So next, we have to assign our ICD-10 code. So we didn't have any other reason why that patient came in other than for their vaccine. That's the only information that we have. So that's how we know we're going to assign ICD-10 code Z23. Here's another screenshot from the chapter, and it's letting you know that diagnosis Z23 is to be reported for any preventative vaccine. So this is how we know that the Z23 is actually going to be assigned for this particular patient. And if you'll remember from when you learned ICD-10 and we talked about Z codes, this will fall underneath that section. So if you want more information on Z codes, when you go to your ICD-10 manual, there is information about Z codes at the beginning of the Z section. So there will be all of your chapter guidelines for you to review. So that's how we came up with the codes for this scenario. So I have another scenario. Patient brings his allergy medication into the office, and a single injection service is provided by the nurse. And then we also know that the patient has an allergy. So we only can code from the information that we have. So all we know is that the patient came in and they got their allergy injection. They actually brought it in. So therefore, we're not going to charge for the actual medication because the patient actually brought it into the office. So you can't charge for the medication if the patient brought it in. So that's why they're being very specific about it here. And then they also letting us know that they got the single injection. So in our chapter 26, again, I just took a screenshot. It actually reviews and talks about allergies in chapter 26. This is why you'll have to read the chapter. When you look this up in your ICD-10 book, you're going to go through allergen immunotherapy, and that's where you're going to start looking in your index, and you'll come up with CPT code 95115. So again, reading that section of chapter 26 is going to give you that additional information. It's going to give you the rules, the guidelines on how to code from that section of your CPT manual. And this is going to be right from your step-by-step book. So I just took a screenshot here just to show you so that it's in there. You want to also get your CPT manual out and you want to look up that section and read the guidelines before there, and it's going to let you know how to actually apply codes from that section. So I'm just showing you that this information is coming straight from your chapter, and this is why it's important that you have to read the chapter first before you actually start trying to code. So in this case, we know that this patient came in for that allergy. And so then that's how we came up with the code J30.1. And again, you can go to the index, look up, and this is for your ICD-10 book. And you'll go to the allergy section, and then it'll take you to the code J30.1. So this is how you're going to start to do those case studies. It's a matter of picking the case study apart. So were there any procedures performed? That's the first thing that you want to look at. So what procedures were performed? And then we'll look at that diagnosis to see why that patient came in. And that's how you're going to get your diagnosis. So I hope that this helps. And again, the way you're going to get good at coding is by practicing. This is how you're going to get good at it. There's no magic bullet. You have to actually go in and practice. And one other thing, while I have my screen up, I want to share with you that even though the assignment may not require you to complete certain exercises within the chapter, you should complete those exercises so that you can become more comfortable in assigning codes. Because now it's going to tell you whether you were right, and then it'll also give you the answers, I believe, to the even questions in the back of your book so that you can actually study and practice. So for example, I have the step-by-step book up. So here's that allergy section that I was just talking about. This section underneath, this exercise 26-10, these questions aren't required for you to do as an assignment, but I suggest that you do them so that you're practicing to get comfortable with it. And so you have three here that you can, you have 4 questions here that you can actually practice with. You have your answers in Appendix B. Click on Appendix B. Well, it didn't exactly take me there, but you can come over here in your table of contents. You go to Appendix B. You look for, let's say, this section here, 26-10. Oh, I've been logged out, so I have to go back in. But I want to just show you really quickly that you can actually check your answers by just doing that. And that's what that's for. That's for you to be able to practice so that when you get to the end of that chapter, to the review questions, that you're able to just go in and do that. So just things to keep in mind. This is another tool for you to practice. And so use the tools that are available to you. So I'm going to go to Appendix B now, and I'm going to go to down to that section 26-10. Here it is. Here are those answers to those 4 questions. You see? So use your practice exercises and you have the answers here, and that's why they're there for you so that you can practice what you just read. So if I were you, I would read, let's say, that section 26-10. I would do the practice exercises, and then I will come back here and check and see what I got right and what I got wrong. Because this is how you're going to get very good with coding. It's by practicing. You have to keep applying those concepts as you're going along. So this is what those exercises are for. So I just figured that I would show that to you and remind you that that information is available to you inside of your actual textbook. So thank you, and this is going to conclude this review of the medicine section and the examples. Thank you.